Hey friends, my name is Steve Guttenberg and I am the audiophiliac, and stereo is such an inadequate format, don't you think? Two channels, it's not enough. I think we need more channels. There was some talk in the early days of stereo that we should have three channels. There's this great picture of Frank Sinatra in his beautiful Palm Springs home with a three-channel stereo system, left, center, right. And I know that my old pal Paul Klipsch was a big proponent of three-channel stereo. It had its moment. It didn't last very long, but three-channel stereo in some ways was probably better than two-channel stereo. But still there were these people like, we need more channels. Two or three, it's not enough. Maybe four is the magic number. So in the 70s, there was this movement towards quadraphonic sound. And, it's funny, I was playing this record the other day, the Modern Jazz Quartet's last concert. And in reading the liner notes inside, it says that there was the stereo and quadraphonic mix was done by Gene Paul at Atlantic Records. And I thought, yeah, it's a 1974 recording. So, of course, it's a really important recording, and it's a live recording, which somewhat makes more sense for surround sound or quadraphonic. So naturally, there was a stereo and quadraphonic mix. Now, I didn't get to hear the quadraphonic mix, and I got to tell you that I was certainly around in the 70s, and I had just no interest in quadraphonic sound. When I heard demonstrations of it at shows and stuff, it just sounded weird. I mean, basically, you had the speakers in the corners of a room, in the front corners and in the rear corners, and you were in the middle of this thing. You're in the middle of this weird mix. It just felt incredibly unnatural. It just sounded weird to me. It's like this was always the problem with what to do with more than two channels or three channels. What do you do with the rear channels? Is it ambience back there, just like sort of room sound, or you have instruments back there? You have one of the piano back in the... No, of course that's ridiculous. So it was always a problem. It was an aesthetic problem of what to do with those rear channels. But in the 70s, it was the audiophiles of the time, not me, but they were saying, it's just playing it on LPs. Of course, there's going to be limited separation between these four channels because the groove is, it's a groove. It's got a left. But anyway, there was matrix and discrete ways of putting the four channels into a record groove, and everybody said, it's the groove. It's just that's the limitation. Now, tape, reel-to-reel tape, or even 8-track cartridges, we could have way better separation between all those channels on tape. So clearly, maybe that's the reason why quadraphonic hasn't really caught on, they were saying in the 70s, because LP is an inadequate format to have four channels on. But four-channel tape, reel-to-reel tape, that's good. There's way better separation there. So that was a thing for a while, but again, it didn't really go anywhere. Jim Fosgate, who's a great guy and a really interesting designer, and I've interviewed him and hung out with him in his house, and he collects all this incredible antique audio. He showed me this collection of antique car radios from the 30s. They were a gigantic thing. He just would buy these things and fix them, but he really believed in the quadraphonic format in the 70s. And even as quadraphonic was fading, it had a long run. It was really most of the 70s was a quadraphonic era. So it didn't just come and go. It lingered for quite a while. But even as quad was fading, Jim Fosgate took it upon himself to make the best possible quadraphonic decoder imaginable, and it was made by a company called Tate. It was like the Tate Fosgate decoder. Actually, my friend Michael Trey has one of these decoders in his vast collection of antique gear. Someday I'm going to get to hear it because he has quad speakers. He's got 4 of them. Quad. It's going to be amazing. Someday that's going to happen. Hopefully in my lifetime. But anyway, I heard plenty of quad in the 70s, and I was never for a second tempted to own a quadraphonic system. Not in the slightest, littlest bit. And of course, when CD surround sound formats arrived, which came and went in a flash, and of course later with DVD audio, It came and went in slightly longer than Flash, but it didn't linger. And then SACD surround formats, not really. It just doesn't have any traction. Surround sound for music without a video picture to anchor it just doesn't kind of make any sense, because you just sort of, where is it? Anyway, it just seems weird to me. But quadraphonic, at least in those days, in the 70s, people, since it was the first consumer surround sound format, I understood why people wanted it to work. Now, surround sound in movies, remember, I used to be a movie theater projectionist. I mean, surround sound in movies goes way back. I mean, I think it's The Wizard of Oz in 1939 had a surround format version of that movie, and certainly by the 50s with 70 millimeter magnetic, there was 6-track magnetic stripes on the 70 millimeter film, and even on the 35 millimeter film. So surround sound for movies has a long, long history, and because there's a picture, being movies, and to this day, surround sound in movies, and now with Atmos in movie theaters and at home, surround sound for movies always made sense. It was a logical thing, and there was no debate whether it made any sense. Everybody got it, including me, and we live with that. But surround sound for music without a picture to anchor it, I don't see that ever changing. But I could be wrong. What do you think? Have you heard any surround sound for music formats that make you want for more? Anyway, that's my piece for today. State your comments below, and I'll see you again real soon.